The insult that would destroy American automotive supremacy forever echoed through the boardroom at General Motors headquarters on October 12, 1973. Henry Ford II, surrounded by Detroit's most powerful automotive executives, looked at reports of increasing Japanese car sales with the kind of American arrogance that had dominated global manufacturing for decades. "These cheap Japanese toys are not real automobiles," Ford declared with dismissive contempt to assembled industry leaders. Honda makes motorcycles, Toyota builds trucks for rice farmers. Americans want real cars, powerful, comfortable, substantial vehicles that represent success and freedom. These tin can econoboxes from Japan are temporary curiosities for poor people who can't afford genuine American automobiles. The laughter that filled the GM boardroom was shared throughout Detroit's automotive establishment, which viewed Japanese manufacturers as insignificant competitors whose primitive vehicles posed no threat to American engineering superiority or consumer loyalty built over decades of industrial dominance. But 6,000 miles away in Tokyo, Toyota's Eiji Toyota and Honda's Soichiro Honda were not laughing. They had heard Detroit's contemptuous dismissal of Japanese automotive capabilities, and both men understood that American arrogance represented the greatest business opportunity in industrial history. "Mr. Ford calls our cars toys for poor people," Eiji Toyota told Honda during a private meeting in Tokyo. "We will build automobiles so superior to American products that within 20 years, Japanese manufacturers will own the American market while Detroit files for bankruptcy. American arrogance will become our greatest competitive advantage." What began as Detroit's confident dismissal of Japanese automotive capabilities would become the most systematic industrial conquest in business history, transforming Japan from war-torn manufacturing backwater into the world's automotive superpower, while reducing America's Big Three to desperate survivors of their own obsolete thinking. The challenge was clear: Japanese precision engineering versus American industrial arrogance, methodical quality improvement versus planned obsolescence, customer satisfaction versus profit maximization. Only one philosophy would survive the coming automotive revolution. If you love discovering how systematic excellence can triumph over industrial arrogance, please like this video and subscribe to the Car Chronicles. The American Automotive Empire, 1945–1970. America's automotive dominance in the post-World War II era was built on industrial might, consumer affluence, and engineering philosophy that prioritized size, power, and luxury over efficiency, reliability, or environmental responsibility. The Big Three, General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler, controlled not just American roads but global automotive markets through superior manufacturing scale and technological innovation. Detroit's automotive philosophy reflected American prosperity and cultural values that equated automobile size with personal success. Bigger cars, more powerful engines, and annual model changes created consumer demand while generating maximum profits through planned obsolescence that required regular vehicle replacement. American cars were symbols of national strength and individual achievement, recalled automotive historian David E. Davis. A Cadillac Eldorado or Lincoln Continental represented everything America had accomplished: technological superiority, industrial power, and the freedom that comes from unlimited resources and engineering capability. The Big Three's market dominance was supported by tariff protection, supplier relationships, and dealer networks that made foreign competition virtually impossible. Import vehicles were expensive curiosities for eccentric customers who preferred European sports cars or unusual foreign alternatives to mainstream American automobiles. American automotive engineering focused on performance and comfort rather than fuel economy or reliability. V8 engines, automatic transmissions, power steering, air conditioning, and luxury appointments were standard features that demonstrated American technological superiority over foreign manufacturers who couldn't match Detroit's engineering capabilities. Quality control was viewed as unnecessary expense rather than competitive advantage. Planned obsolescence encouraged regular vehicle replacement while generating maximum profits from consumers who expected mechanical problems and maintenance requirements as normal aspects of automobile ownership. The automotive workforce was highly paid and politically powerful, creating labor costs that foreign manufacturers couldn't match while ensuring worker loyalty to companies that provided middle-class prosperity through industrial employment. Detroit's confidence was justified by market reality. American automobiles dominated global sales, American manufacturing set worldwide standards, and American automotive technology led international development. Foreign competitors were decades behind American capabilities and posed no serious threat to established market positions. However, this dominance was built on assumptions about consumer preferences, fuel costs, and competitive environments that would prove catastrophically wrong when challenged by manufacturers who understood that systematic quality improvement could overcome traditional competitive advantages. The Japanese challenge begins, 1958-1970. Japan's entry into American automotive markets began not with grand strategic planning, but with desperate necessity following World War II destruction that left Japanese manufacturers seeking any possible export opportunities to rebuild their devastated economy and industrial capabilities. Toyota's first American vehicles in 1958 were crude by Detroit standards, underpowered, basic transportation that appealed only to price-conscious customers willing to accept inferior performance in exchange for lower initial costs and better fuel economy than American alternatives. Honda's automotive entry was even more humble, transitioning from motorcycle manufacturing to tiny cars that Detroit executives viewed as amusing curiosities rather than serious competitive threats. The Honda Civic and Toyota Corolla were dismissed as toys for customers who couldn't afford real automobiles. Early Japanese cars were terrible by American standards, acknowledged automotive journalist Brock Yates. They were slow, uncomfortable, and built to completely different standards than American customers expected. Detroit's contempt was understandable because Japanese vehicles were genuinely inferior products that appealed only to very specific customer segments. However, Japanese manufacturers approached American competition with systematic analysis that identified weaknesses in Detroit's automotive philosophy. While American companies focused on planned obsolescence and annual styling changes, Japanese companies prioritized reliability, fuel economy, and continuous quality improvement. The cultural differences were fundamental. American automotive philosophy emphasized individual designer genius and marketing innovation, while Japanese philosophy emphasized systematic engineering processes, worker quality improvement suggestions, and customer satisfaction measurement. Japanese manufacturing techniques developed from necessity were superior to American methods in ways that Detroit didn't recognize or understand. Lean production, just-in-time inventory management, and total quality management created efficiency advantages that American manufacturers couldn't match through traditional approaches. Most importantly, Japanese manufacturers listened to customer complaints and implemented solutions, while American manufacturers dismissed criticism as inevitable costs of automobile ownership that consumers should accept as normal rather than problems requiring engineering solutions. The quality gap between American and Japanese automobiles was initially small, but Japanese systematic improvement processes meant that every model year delivered measurably better reliability, durability, and customer satisfaction, while American vehicles maintained traditional quality levels. By 1970, perceptive automotive analysts recognized that Japanese manufacturers were developing competitive advantages that traditional American approaches couldn't overcome, but Detroit's establishment remained confident that foreign competition posed no serious threat to American automotive supremacy. The Oil Crisis Catalyst, 1973-1974. The 1973 Arab oil embargo transformed American automotive competition overnight by making fuel economy a primary purchasing consideration rather than an optional feature that few customers prioritized when gasoline was cheap and abundant. American automobiles averaged 8 to 12 miles per gallon, reflecting engineering priorities that emphasized power and comfort over efficiency. Japanese vehicles delivered 25 to 35 mpg through lightweight construction and efficient engine design that suddenly became crucial competitive advantages rather than economy car compromises. Long lines at gas stations created immediate demand for fuel-efficient vehicles that American manufacturers couldn't satisfy with existing product lines designed for cheap gasoline and customer preferences that prioritized size over economy. Japanese manufacturers had the only vehicles that met new market requirements. The oil crisis was the moment when American automotive philosophy became obsolete, observed economist John Kenneth Galbraith. Suddenly, Japanese engineering priorities, efficiency, reliability, economy, were exactly what American consumers needed, while American priorities, power, luxury, size, became expensive liabilities that customers couldn't afford. Detroit's response was slow and inadequate. American manufacturers attempted to downsize existing vehicles and develop smaller alternatives, but their engineering experience was entirely focused on large cars with powerful engines. Small, efficient vehicles required completely different expertise that Japanese companies had spent decades developing. The Chevrolet Vega, Ford Pinto, and AMC Gremlin were Detroit's attempts to compete with Japanese imports, but these vehicles suffered from quality problems, design compromises, and reliability issues that demonstrated American inability to match Japanese small car expertise. Japanese manufacturers expanded American sales networks and production capacity to meet increased demand from customers who discovered that Honda Civics and Toyota Corollas delivered superior reliability and fuel economy compared to American alternatives that cost more to purchase and operate. Consumer Reports magazine began systematic reliability testing that consistently ranked Japanese vehicles above American competitors in every category that customers considered important: fuel economy, repair frequency, maintenance costs, and long-term durability. The reputation shift was gradual but decisive. Japanese cars evolved from cheap foreign alternatives to smart purchases for intelligent customers, while American cars became gas-guzzling relics that only uninformed buyers would consider purchasing. Most devastatingly for Detroit, young American customers began choosing Japanese vehicles as their first automobiles, creating brand loyalty that would influence purchasing decisions for decades as these customers aged and bought increasingly expensive vehicles from manufacturers they trusted. The Quality Revolution, 1975-1985. Toyota and Honda's systematic approach to quality improvement during the late 1970s and early 1980s created reliability advantages over American competitors that were measurable, consistent, and impossible for Detroit to overcome through traditional manufacturing and engineering approaches. Total quality management principles implemented in Japanese factories meant that every worker was responsible for identifying and solving problems rather than accepting defects as inevitable manufacturing costs. This philosophy created continuous improvement processes that American factories couldn't match through conventional quality control methods. Japanese quality wasn't accidental, explained manufacturing expert W. Edwards Deming. It was the result of systematic processes that treated quality as everyone's responsibility rather than a separate department's problem. American manufacturers still believed that inspection could ensure quality, while Japanese manufacturers understood that quality had to be built into every process. Statistical analysis of repair records, warranty claims, and customer satisfaction surveys consistently favored Japanese vehicles over American alternatives by margins that were too large to dismiss as marketing manipulation or measurement error. The Honda Accord and Toyota Camry represented engineering philosophy focused on customer satisfaction rather than profit maximization. These vehicles were designed to last 200,000 handpus miles with minimal maintenance, while American vehicles were designed to require replacement after 100,000 miles to generate maximum profit from repeat customers. Japanese manufacturing processes eliminated defects that American customers had learned to accept as normal automobile problems. Paint defects, interior rattles, electrical failures, transmission problems, and engine reliability issues that required regular dealer service visits. Consumer Reports' annual reliability surveys became devastating marketing disasters for American manufacturers, as Japanese vehicles consistently ranked highest in every category, while American vehicles occupied the bottom rankings year after year. The word-of-mouth reputation shift was impossible to reverse through advertising or marketing campaigns. Customers who owned Japanese vehicles became enthusiastic advocates who recommended these cars to friends and family members, while American car owners warned others to avoid vehicles that had created expensive problems and constant frustration. Detroit's attempts to match Japanese quality through traditional approaches failed consistently. American manufacturing culture, union relationships, and supplier networks were optimized for different priorities and couldn't be quickly modified to achieve Japanese levels of systematic quality improvement. Most importantly, Japanese manufacturers continued improving, while American manufacturers struggled to match quality levels that Japanese companies had achieved years earlier, creating a constantly expanding gap that favored foreign competitors in every meaningful measurement. The Market Conquest, 1985–1990. The transformation of American automotive preferences during the late 1980s represented the complete triumph of Japanese engineering philosophy over American automotive tradition, as Honda Accord and Toyota Camry became the best-selling cars in America, while Detroit manufacturers lost market share consistently. Japanese vehicles evolved from economy alternatives to premium choices that affluent customers preferred over American luxury cars. The Honda Accord achieved higher customer satisfaction ratings than Cadillac, while Toyota Camry delivered superior reliability compared to Lincoln and Chrysler's most expensive offerings. By 1985, Japanese cars weren't just better values, they were simply better cars, acknowledged automotive journalist Car and Driver. Honda and Toyota had achieved the impossible, building affordable vehicles that were more reliable, more durable, and more satisfying than anything Detroit could produce at any price point. The psychological shift was complete and devastating to American automotive pride. Japanese vehicles became symbols of intelligent purchasing decisions, while American vehicles represented poor judgment and acceptance of inferior quality that smart customers avoided. Plant closures in Detroit, Flint, and other traditional automotive manufacturing centers created unemployment that destroyed entire communities built around American automotive prosperity. The social and economic consequences extended far beyond corporate profits to affect millions of workers and their families. Japanese manufacturers opened American factories that employed American workers using Japanese management techniques and quality standards. These facilities consistently achieved higher productivity, better quality, and lower costs than traditional American plants, proving that Japanese superiority resulted from systematic approaches rather than cultural factors. The luxury market invasion completed Japanese conquest of American automotive preferences. Lexus and Infiniti demonstrated that Japanese manufacturers could build premium vehicles superior to Mercedes, BMW, and Cadillac, while delivering Japanese levels of reliability that German and American luxury cars couldn't match. American automotive executives were forced to acknowledge that Detroit's traditional approaches had failed completely. Japanese manufacturers had achieved everything American companies claimed was impossible, building affordable cars that were also reliable, efficient, and satisfying to own. The financial consequences were catastrophic for American automotive companies. General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler struggled with declining market share, plant closures, layoffs, and profit margins destroyed by competition from manufacturers who built better products more efficiently. Consumer loyalty, built over decades of American automotive dominance, transferred permanently to Japanese manufacturers who had earned customer trust through superior products rather than marketing campaigns or patriotic appeals to buy American automobiles. The Permanent Revolution, 1990, present. The Japanese automotive conquest of America established permanent changes in customer expectations, manufacturing standards, and competitive priorities that continue influencing global automotive development more than 30 years after Detroit's dominance ended. American manufacturers were forced to adopt Japanese manufacturing techniques, quality standards, and customer satisfaction priorities to survive competition from companies that had redefined automotive excellence through systematic approaches to engineering and manufacturing. Japanese manufacturers didn't just win market share, observed business historian Alfred Chandler. They changed the fundamental nature of automotive competition by proving that quality, reliability, and customer satisfaction were more important than marketing, styling, or traditional brand loyalty. Contemporary automotive development reflects lessons learned from Japanese success, continuous improvement processes, customer satisfaction measurement, quality-focused manufacturing, and engineering priorities that emphasize long-term durability over short-term profit maximization. The cultural impact extended beyond automotive markets to influence American business philosophy, manufacturing practices, and customer expectations throughout American industry. Japanese success demonstrated that systematic approaches to quality and customer satisfaction could overcome traditional competitive advantages. Modern American automotive companies have partially recovered through adoption of Japanese techniques and development of vehicles that meet quality standards established by Toyota and Honda decades earlier, but Japanese manufacturers maintain competitive advantages in efficiency, reliability, and customer satisfaction. The geographic shift was permanent. Automotive manufacturing moved from Detroit to the American South, where Japanese, Korean, and German manufacturers operate factories that employ American workers using international best practices rather than traditional American automotive approaches. From a business perspective, the Japanese automotive invasion represents the most successful industrial conquest in economic history, demonstrating how systematic quality improvement and customer focus can overcome established competitive advantages, protective regulations, and cultural preferences. The story reminds us that industrial dominance based on size, tradition, or protective advantages can be overcome by competitors who understand customer needs better and deliver superior products through systematic approaches to quality, efficiency, and continuous improvement. If this story moved you, subscribe to The Car Chronicles and hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to understand that customer satisfaction and product quality matter more than tradition, marketing, or national pride in determining long-term competitive success. What's your favorite example of systematic quality triumphing over established advantages? Let us know in the comments about other competitive reversals where focused improvement overcame traditional dominance through superior customer understanding and systematic execution.